Okay, we are live with a quick stream. This one should hopefully be fairly short. Let me know if you guys could hear me. Shout out the chat real quick too. Uh, Albert Albert Hoffman says the Pokemon Go people have a meetup of hundreds of people at this park in my city. And when I was walking my dog through their huge group, I asked if they knew the CA made the app, and they got nervous. Yeah, people don't know that CA via InQtel helped fund that. Pretty interesting. Eric Tumbleson says, but at least they took the Pokestop off of Epstein Island. I heard. ... Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Pro AV guy. MC Casablanca says, LOL. Yep. So, all right, let's get into it. We got the do we have Pokemon Go first? Oh, no, we don't. First, we got, is Lex Wexner a demon? Literally. So, this is Lex Wexner, former CEO of Victoria's Secret and Jeffrey Epstein accomplice. We're going to read some of this stuff of where people say he's a demon from. Shout out to chat. Whoops. So, yes. Is Lex Wexner an actual literal demon? He's alluded to it at various points. This is Jeffrey Epstein's associate. Let's first watch Thomas Massey.
I want to talk about a little bill that I got passed back in November.
This guy right here.
You've seen it in the news. Maybe you've seen it on the internet. It's called the Epstein Files Transparency Act. It gave the DOJ 30 days to publish all of the Epstein files. Well, they missed their deadline. And you know, that's bad enough, but they made some other mistakes. They accidentally, against the law says don't release victims' information, but they say that it was an accident. They released the names of victims, which they weren't supposed to do. And the most concerning thing is they're still covering up files, or they're over-redacting files. This week, starting on Monday, I had a chance to go to the DOJ and look at the unredacted files. And I found, out of those millions of documents, I just looked at 40 of them. And I found 3 documents where they were redacting names of co-conspirators of Jeffrey Epstein in the sex trafficking ring.
Right.
Leslie Wexner is one of them. He's a former CEO. He's still alive. He should go to court. He's listed in the FBI's document.
He's born in 1937. I don't even know how old that is. How far are we from 2037? It's like he's like 90. Wow.
It's as a co-conspirator. And then several other names that I forced the release of. There's a very troubling email in the Epstein files where somebody sends Epstein a torture video, and he says, I really enjoyed the torture video. Well, they had redacted who it came from. And I went in there, I got the email that it came from, and I was able to use the DOJ's own computers to match the email up with an individual, and it's
so he just mentions Leslie Wexner. I think they mentioned him on the House floor. Let me see. I think I might have something else for that. Let's see. Do it live. Oh, well, he's going to be testifying before Congress. Let's see.
I want to mention the next steps. We can confirm we have 5 more depositions in the book scheduled for the Epstein investigation. On February 18th, Lex Wexner, who is a financial client of Epstein, and I believe the former CEO of Victoria's Secret.
So that's next Wednesday. That's not too far away. So get a little prep here. All right, here's Joe Rogan talking about Whitney Webb and Lex Wexner.
Whitney Webb posted on her Twitter about Les Wexner being a sex trafficker, a child sex trafficker in 2020. See if you can find that. Like that crazy chick is right about everything. This is the tweet. Your reminder that Leslie Wexner financed the mass rape and trafficking of thousands of American children for over a decade. And right now he is sitting in a 26K.
Leslie. I feel like you're asking for trouble when you name your son Leslie.
A square foot mansion in New Albany, Ohio, thinking that he is above the law. She tweeted this in April 28 of 2020. How crazy is that?
Holy shit.
She's like the most prolific of all the conspiracy theorists, the most well-read, the one with the most recall, the one that's the most quoted. I don't know how she's so good at it. We're trying to get her on. I don't know how she's so good and what her background is, how she finds all this information, but she's always way.
To be fair, I think, this is what people say, I heard a lot of this stuff from Ryan Dawson back in the day, and there's people who swear that like she just straight up like ripped all his research when he was kicked off all social media. She's a little more presentable than Ryan, I guess. Maybe, I don't know, but yeah, if that's the case, that's kind of a bummer. But anyways, continue
What's
on.
so crazy too?
Here she is talking about this whole: is he a demon? Is he not?
About him being so focused on basically taking control of the leadership of the Jewish American community by basically having it filled with people that he has trained in views that he agrees with or policies or whatever. Is that Wexner in 1985 basically is like, yeah, I'm possessed by a demon that tells me what to do. And I have a split personality, and my the nice part of me is stunted, and I'm controlled by like this demon that tells me what to. He uses a Yiddish word that literally means demon. It's debuk, I think is how it's pronounced.
Debuk, which is actually COVID backwards, right?
I've heard that. I don't really. I haven't looked into that, but anyway, in the case of Wexner, that's the word he chooses. There's a lot of words he could have picked in Yiddish that sounded nicer, but he wanted to brag about basically being a demon-possessed crazy guy.
He's a Jewish demon. Whoops. Whoops is fun to say. Fuck, it's really dark, but it is kind of fun.
And who was he catering to? There, that's a New York magazine, and so that's a segment I put out from the book already. But when you look at it in the context of a guy that's per the Jewish faith, saying that he's possessed by using the word that in the Jewish faith means like a demon possession, and he's like, yes, my demon controls me, and he's an integral part.
A Jewish demon, nothing to see here. Whoops. All right, let's read the actual thing. So here he is back in the day. I've got this right here. A debuk, also spelled dibuk, plural dibukim. In Jewish folklore, a discombodied human spirit that, because of former sins, wanders restlessly until it finds a haven in the body of a living person. Belief in such spirits was especially prevalent in the 16th through 17th century Eastern Europe. Doesn't this also kind of sound like a fucking Scientology, whatchamacallit, thetan? Like a little thetan roaring around the world, attaching to people? Kind of does. Often individuals suffering from nervous or mental disorders were taken to a miracle-working rabbi, who alone, it was believed, could expel the harmful debuk through religious rite of exorcism. That just reminds me a lot of Scientology shit right there. Very interesting. Let me see. Jake Rass says Epstein was making Mewtwo. Nice Guy Eddie says, dude, the debuk is terrifying. Thetan, whoops, yep. Scientology, whoops. Thetan, demons, whoops. They're all the same shit, low-key. Here we go. So here's the actual article about Les Wexner. And now perhaps it is time to reintroduce Leslie Wexner's debuk. Debuk? The demon that always wakes up in the morning with Wexner and tweaks and pulls at him. When he was a boy, his father called it tumel, a churning, so he feels molten and unformed. Pricked by these spiritual pins and needles. He met this demon again when he was 40 and already worth $500 million. When he climbed the mountain in front of his house in Vale and almost froze to death and decided to change his life. This demon he calls terminal spilkers, which makes him wander from house to house, repeating the pattern of his childhood on a luxurious scale, wanting more, swallowing companies larger than his own. It is precisely the reason that Wexner has $1 billion and didn't stop at, say, $5 million in a new Mercedes every other year in what he calls normal life. Bridge on Wednesdays and bar mitzvahs on Saturdays at the Winding Hollow Country Club in Columbus, which seemed like Buckingham Palace. So not only is it a demon, it's a demon that allegedly happened near a near-death experience. Isn't that kind of interesting? One-Eyed Atlas says, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. Yep. Kenny says, climbed the mountain in front of his house and fell. Whoops. Whoops is fun. I think I have more of it here. So, okay, so there's more of it. I'll just read more. Okay. Why he has 2 planes, why he dates more than one woman, why he has no children, why he has his boards, his collections, his Wexner Foundation. So he's literally attributing the demon to like his like debauchery, right there. Why he has his boards, his collections, his Wexner Foundation. It is why he goes to Vale for a single night to look out at the mountain and hold the woman he has had flown into his arms. So flying women in because the demon wants him to. It is why he isn't married, though after knowing him a year, one girlfriend converted to Judaism and actually changed her last name to Cohen, which Wexner insists was not because of him or because of what it would do to his mother if he married a Christian. I have all these ideas and I'm frustrated because I can't do them all, he says, explaining that this is his agony, as in the agony and the ecstasy, his Kampf. His favorite book, a book he felt so deeply that he could actually guess the next chapter. Never satisfied, never good in his skin. So he begins and ends every day with the feeling that he hasn't done enough and he's been disorganized. Even though when he looks over his daily schedule chart, which shows how he has spent every half hour from 8:30 to 9 p.m. and has space for the day's 10 goals and for an evaluation of every meeting, he still feels he has wasted his time. And this is all tied up with his feelings about death and settling down because he doesn't want to get too comfortable. For him, that is too close to death, which he met on the mountain. One of his favorite theories is that most people retire when they are 30 and buy a home and have children. But if you buy 6 homes and flee into the skies, never surrender, then I hate to think to myself as an adult, because when you do, you die. Anyways, so that's basically that, saying he has a demon in him that he got on a near-death experience. Is he telling the truth? Are these people actually demons? Maybe. Let's continue along here. Uh-oh. All right, what do we got next? Okay, yeah, Epstein and Pokemon Go. So there was so first off, Jeffrey Epstein loved playing Pokemon Go, which a lot of people did, especially when it first came out. But apparently there was a Pokemon Go stop at his house, and they at his island, and they removed it. Pokemon Go team removes Pokestop that appeared on Epstein Island. I believe I have the article up. Let's see. Okay. There are thousands and thousands of Pokestops available in Pokemon Go, and some of them end up being troublesome due to location, traffic, safety, and more. That results in them being removed after a review process. But sometimes oddities slip through the cracks. That's exactly what happened with a recently deactivated Pokestop, and it's one that should have never been approved in the first place. Scopely has confirmed that they've removed a Pokestop that appeared on Little St. James Island, which is more commonly referred to today as Epstein Island. Jeffrey Epstein is a convicted sex offender and human trafficker, and he also happened to be the owner of the island. Obviously, this location should have never been approved as a Pokestop, and it seems that the approval came about by mistake back in 2020, 2021. Whoops! Back when Niantic was the company in charge of Pokemon Go, they were also working on another app called Ingress. That app also used real-life location data for its points of interest, and they were submitted by users. At one point, someone submitted Little St. James Island for use in Ingress, and it somehow went through the Niantic approval process. I bet you it was Jeff. As Pokemon Go used a lot of location data from Ingress, it seems that Pokestops accidentally came to be through the data sharing process. Unfortunately, Pokemon Go players started spoofing their locations to visit Epstein Island, causing a surge in popularity. Once the Pokemon Go team realized this, they stepped in and deactivated the stop. So there you go. There was a stop on Epstein Island, and now there's no longer one. And also, like people were saying in the chat too, it is kind of interesting and funny that via In-Q-Tel, the CIA's private equity firm that they used to fund various projects. That's where a lot of Pokemon Go's early funding came from. So it's it is kind of hilarious. But let's see. The Pokemon Go also comes up a few times in the Epstein files. So here he is texting to, or sending a message to, who is this again? Let me see. I have the name down here. So this is to Sheikh Fahed bin Ahmed bin Khalifa Al Thani, the second son of the former Emir of Qatar. So somebody high up in the ranks of Qatar, in the power structures of Qatar, he says, check out Pokemon Go in July 13th, 2016, which 11:11 a.m. Make a wish. Check out Pokemon Go if you have not already. The first of augmented games. And here he is, I believe, with one of the Qatari people. I don't think it's the exact one being emailed right here. He also, this is kind of interesting and kind of gets esoteric and weird. Here's him to Deepak Chopra. Him and Deepak Chopra were having a bunch of emails. And here's an email. Deepak Chopra was just saying some spiritual mumbo jumbo, which actually it's kind of funny. Let's just play some of that too. Fuck it. Let's see. Deepak, this is from the files. This is, I believe, what Deepak sent to him on Snapchat. Look at this. This is the state of this shit.
As long as you do not know how you know what you know, you will never know the truth of what you think you know.
So stupid. And look at the glasses. Oh my god, these people are hilarious. In you gotta laugh at them kind of way. So Deepak Chopra says, last part makes sense, but we need to know, what is fundamental reality? Whatever we end up calling it, there is a such thing as a thing. There is an activity in a unified wholeness, whatever that is. Things are snapshots of perception, which we don't understand. Maybe profound, maybe not. And then Jeffrey Epstein responds, July 13th, 2016. With your remarkable ability to raise an audience, how can you best benefit them and yourself? Lectures, okay. Weekend retreats, okay. Books, okay. If you look at the new Pokemon Go app, the first of many augmented reality games, I think an app for you that allows people to look at their phones and detect an aura about each other would kill the market. After you return tonight, look up the app and imagine. Wow. So you have like a whole ass religious experience with Pokemon Go. A lot of people did. Actually, let's see if we could find a news story because it was a whole ass thing when it came out. When was that? 2016? Yeah. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Fuck it. Let's do a flashback.
Something that may explain any odd behavior you've seen on the streets recently. The smash hit mobile game app Pokemon Go has only been out for a few days, but it's already got millions following their smartphones to the most random places, and police fear possibly into harm's way. NBC's Jolene Kent has more.
Gotcha. Pokemon fever is back.
It was a magical time, dude. It was people were like that didn't even know each other were like waving and hugging and shit. It was in a fucked up way, like kind of like after 9/11, everyone in the country was like loving each other. It kind of felt like that, but just on a totally positive energy.
It's everywhere.
Nostalgia hits in, like I'm a kid, I need to play this again. It's real life.
Well, he texted me like 30 minutes ago saying, let's meet up in Hollywood to catch Pokemon.
Trying to catch them all, you know?
It's blanketing Los Angeles hotspots like Hollywood and Vine, attracting hordes of players to venture outside to Central Park in New York City to stare at their phones.
Pokemon Go is a free augmented reality game you play on your smartphone. GPS technology places animated monsters inside in the real world around you. Then you
try to catch a Dragonite now on Epstein Island getting trafficked. Whoops.
Flick this ball here to catch it to move on to the next level.
Gotcha.
Police departments across the country
Gotcha, you're trafficked now. No, I'm just kidding. It's fucked up. Shouldn't joke about it.
Or trespassing while playing. In New York, a warning. Don't let Officer Manello and his new partner catch you. Don't catch them all and drive. Pokemon characters are also showing up in unexpected places like the delivery room next to police at a protest in Oakland. But not all encounters are peaceful. Outside of St. Louis, these 3 suspects were arrested for allegedly using Pokemon Go to lure unsuspecting players into armed robberies. In Wyoming, 19-year-old Shayla Wiggins stumbled upon a dead body face down in a river while playing the game.
I wanted to go get a water Pokemon, so I just got up and went for my little walk to go catch Pokemon.
The game warns players at the beginning to be alert at all times. But on
Xander says Pokemon Go era was magical. Geocaching was fun too. The concept bled into Randonautica, and if anyone remembers, that was a lot stronger though.
Social media, injuries are posted as badges of honor, bumps, bruises, and scrapes, proving that virtual reality can be just as dangerous as the real world, especially when you gotta catch them all. Jolene Kent, NBC News, Los Angeles.
It was a magical era. Flag Magazine says we should crowdfund buying the data from the company. Wired LSJ's Fitbit heat map article. Ooh, okay, maybe. Dan Freeman says Pokemon Go is sending folks to Helm's Deep. It was. Let's go to send people to the hood, to armed robberies. But it was magical, and it seems like Jeffrey Epstein here was all about it. Once again, to this Qatari dignitary, he's like, check out Pokemon Go if you have not already. The first game of augmented games. And then to Deepak Chopra, he's like, yeah, books are cool, weekend retreats are cool, lectures are cool, but what if you made a Pokemon Go app for your fans? Like he was all in it. Okay, only a few more left. It's gonna be a quick one tonight.
Claims bodies are buried near Epstein.
We got Neanderthal here. Shout out Neanderthal. How's it going, bro? New Zorro Ranch investigation. Jess told us about this yesterday. So there's going to be a new, apparently, investigation, or at least they're calling for it. Let's see.
Zorro Ranch in Santa Fe County. Tonight, the state land commissioner demanding an investigation.
I'm going to keep asking questions and keep poking around until I get an answer.
Those coming from an anonymous email in 2019 addressed to a local radio host.
Aaliyah Chavez spoke with him and has the details of that email.
Yeah, Doug, Shelley, we're also hearing tonight from the Attorney General's office, who says it takes these allegations seriously, but needs more information to do something about it.
Eddie Aragon says it was early in the morning in November 2019 when he got this email from someone claiming they were a former staffer at Zorro Ranch. Writing, did you know somewhere in the hills outside of the Zorro, 2 foreign girls were buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madam G. Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex.
I got the email. I was startled.
The emailer says they had 7 sex videos, including some with minors, but never actually sent the footage, asking Aragon for digital currency Bitcoin.
Approximately at that time, Bitcoin was worth about $8,000. They wanted in exchange 1 Bitcoin for the videos that they had in possession.
Aragon says he didn't know what to do with the email, so he sent it to the FBI.
I've since referred to the FBI on a number of other things, and I've never heard back from them on anything.
Fast forward 6 years later, the DOJ released Aragon's email as part of the Epstein files.
Matters. I think that New Mexicans need answers. I think the victims need answers.
That's what prompted New Mexico Public Lands Commissioner Stephanie Garcia Richard to send this letter to the Attorney General and the U.S. Attorney's Office Tuesday, asking them to thoroughly investigate this disturbing allegation regarding the referenced burials.
We need to get to the bottom of really what happened in New Mexico.
She says she was horrified to learn in 2019 that our state was still leasing lands around Zorro Ranch to Epstein's company.
I canceled the leases at that time.
A month after Epstein killed himself in jail, the land around the mansion totals around 1,200 acres and hasn't been leased out since.
We're thinking to possibly turn it into a memorial to honor the victims, or as some kind of wildlife sanctuary, perhaps. So that's what we're thinking for that land.
Attorney General Raul Torres' office responding to Garcia Richard hours later with this letter. As we understand it, the allegations appear to be unsubstantiated, it says, going on to say they will work to obtain the original files. Once such information is obtained, our office will review it to determine whether any further action is warranted, and if so, the appropriate next steps.
To my knowledge, no investigation has taken place thus far. It doesn't sound like anything is going to be taking place very soon.
The commissioner says she's...
Okay, so do you guys know there's a UFO connection to this letter? Are you guys aware of that? I'm going to give it away on the thing, but it's like, I mean, hopefully it's not true, but... So did you guys know in this letter that they're talking about that was sent to this guy? Oh, shoot, I don't have that part up. But it was sent to this New Mexico radio show host who was actually running for Congress at the time. We'll just read it. Fuck it. Edward, this is sensitive, so it will be the first and last email depending on your discretion. You can choose to take it or trash it, but this comes from a person that has been there and seen it all as a former staff at the Zorro. The material below was taken from Jeffrey Epstein's home as my insurance in case my future litigation against Epstein. Sorry, no questions, all caps. What is damning about Jeffrey Epstein is yet to be written. Did you know somewhere in the hills outside of the Zorro, 2 foreign girls are buried on orders of Jeffrey and Madame G? Both died by strangulation during rough fetish sex. Here are the video footage of Jeffrey Epstein. Link, truncated, 13-minute, 57 seconds, sex video with a minor. 27-minute, 3 seconds, threesome video. 12-minute, 54 seconds, threesome video. 19 minutes, 22 seconds, underage girl sex video. All right, here's where it ties into UFO land. Number 5, link, truncated, 7 minutes, 31 seconds, underage girl, Matthew Mellon video. So that's referring to Matthew Mellon, the brother of Christopher Mellon, you know, part of the disclosure movement. It's just, I remember it's just so crazy to see that he was mentioned in this, Matthew Mellon. And it's crazy because he died, I think, about a year before this email went public. Let's watch this real quick.
The heir to banking and oil fortunes has died aged 53 in a drug rehabilitation.
Actually, no, let's do this one better. This is Time. This is a major outlet, although only 7,000 views, but still, look at this shit.
Cryptocurrency billionaire Matthew Mellon has died in a Mexican rehab facility at age 54. A statement to Page 6 by a family rep says the father of 3 died suddenly in Cancun, Mexico, where he was attending a drug rehabilitation facility. Mellon is the ex-husband of Jimmy Choo co-founder Tamara Mellon, with whom he shared 1 daughter. He also shared 2 children with designer Nicole Hanley. The statement notes that Mellon made a $1 billion fortune off of a $2 million investment in cryptocurrency, concluding he is survived by his 3 children, Force, Olympia, and Minty. The family asks that their privacy be respected at this very painful time. Mellon had previously divulged to Page 6 that in 2016, he was taking around 80 Oxycontin pills a day.
You know, this is crazy too. You know, and rest in peace. And just because something's in here doesn't mean it's true. But he was dating a Kennedy, I believe, at the time of his death, like JFK's granddaughter, or some shit like that. And in an interview, I don't have it prepared, but she was saying that like he was always talking about UFOs and shit, and saying that their grandma was psychic. It's pretty wild. Actually, let me see if I can find that. Kennedy UFOs. Yeah, which I found that really interesting. Okay, here we go. Fuck it. Let's see. So this is around the time of his death. Kennedy claims. What the hell is this? Okay, get out of my face. Kennedy kid claims Matthew Mellon was obsessed with UFOs, human cloning. Isn't this interesting, especially with the whole Epstein stuff? Let's just read the article. Fuck it. This is our last thing. Matthew Mellon sounded like he had everything to live for when I spoke to him for the phone over a week before he died. The rich and handsome banking heir who had fought drug addiction his whole life said he'd been sober for 85 days. I'd known Matthew Mellon since I was editing Page 6 years ago, and he was married to Tamara Mellon and trying to emulate her Jimmy Choo success with men's shoe line, Harry's of London. We'd have occasional lunches as he divorced Tamara, mother of his daughter Minty, and then married fashion designer Nicole Hanley, who added daughter Olympia and son Force. I was at his 50th birthday at the Four Seasons restaurant when Lindsay Lohan serenaded him in front of such pals as Alex von Furstenberg, Vikram Chetwa, and Paris and Nikki Hilton. Matthew was upset. He was so notorious for drug use and angry when Tamara, in her 2013 memoir In My Shoes, wrote that it had wrecked their marriage. I was in the office every day working hard, and Matthew had nothing but free time on his hands, and I'd come home and find him freebasing in the kitchen, she wrote. In 2016, Matthew went to Passages Rehab in Malibu, California. He gave me the news that he'd been spending $100,000 a month and taking about 80 Oxycontin pills a day. The doctors kept writing prescriptions like they were Smarties. It's very irresponsible, he told me. I called him on April 9th because I've heard he was dating Kit Kennedy, daughter of RFK Jr. Oh, so it was RFK Jr.'s daughter who he was dating, which is also weird because if you remember yesterday, we covered the whole whoops thing about RFK Jr.'s wife. So yeah, so Matthew Mellon was dating RFK Jr.'s daughter. Whoa. But Matthew indicated that whatever it was between them was over. I'm 54 and she's 30, he told me. Besides that huge age gap, she would threaten his sobriety, he said, without elaborating. On Friday, Kennedy, who had spent 4 months with Mellon traveling to Switzerland, London, Washington, D.C., and New York, said in a statement given exclusively to me, Matthew, you had an incredible way of manifesting wildly unpredictable miracles that shocked and awed us all over and over again. So this is RFK Jr.'s daughter, who was dating Matthew Mellon at the time, said he was able to manifest miracles. Interesting. I remember him turning to me once and saying, don't let the fear of losing be greater than the excitement of winning, before going back to UFOs and future human cloning possibilities. Fuck it, let's just read more. Matthew told me that his new romantic target was Lady Alexandra Spencer Churchill, daughter of the Duke of Marlborough. I'm moving to London for her, but don't write it yet. I'd have to talk to her first. Is there anything about his grandmother? There was another one I read where Kit Kennedy had said his grandma was psychic or some shit. I don't think it's in here. Friends told me Matthew was able to confront the childhood trauma of his father's suicide during an Ibogaine trip and considered the drug a lifesaver. Interesting. Again, not trying to do anything, but isn't it interesting that that comes up? And you know what? Fuck it. Since we're here, and I did mention Ryan Dawson earlier, and because he's on the ball with all this shit. I found this pretty interesting today, and I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I'm just gonna read Ryan Dawson's tweet. He was one of the OG Epstein people. He says, he was basically saying that RFK Jr. is involved in all this shit. Here we go. RFK Jr. RFK Jr. and Mary Richardson Kennedy were both friends with Ghislaine Maxwell. They used to pluck young girls from New York Academy of Arts. Eileen Guggenheim compiled with Epstein with Wexner's money scheme and introduced the young girls to high rollers. Maxwell was at Mary's funeral. RFK Jr. is secretly compromised by the Israeli blackmail ring, which is a bummer if true. And I don't know, but Ryan is kind of on it with a lot of this shit. Anyways, all right, that's about it. Have a good one, guys. Catch you guys in space or something. Thank you. Peace. Woo.